Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
And this is Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at salesbread.com. What are we talking about, Jeremy?
So today we're going to talk about open rates with a
And
new
why open rates?
Well, because I've been thinking about it on my long 12 more hours back from Tokyo. And I came up with some conclusion that I'd like to share with you and everyone else. I did it in our newsletter, and I think it deserves a little bit more explanation as to
I like that.
why
All right.
exactly.
So
We've been doing
what's
it
the
all wrong.
problem? I love that. Now, before we share a quick word from our sponsors, because today most B2B companies lack the time or the expertise to turn your cold prospects into warm sales qualified leads. So at salesbread.com, we'll bring you one lead every single day, Monday through Friday, by sending ultra personalized cold emails and LinkedIn messages. So you don't have to worry about prospecting, list building, prospecting, research, personalization, follow-ups, copywriting, and everything in between. So if that sounds interesting and you want to learn some more, head over to salesbread.com, check out some of the helpful how-to articles we put together for you, and maybe hit that contact button and get in touch.
Very good. And I completely forgot my one-liner, but if you're up for it and you really want to try cold outreach, you should check out quickmail.io. It's one of the most stable and flexible platform in the market. Been doing it for 9 years. It's rock solid. And at the moment, we have a free plan. So with really generous and a really true free plan, not one of those BS free plan where you can send 5 emails a day or whatever maximum. So you'll be glad you try. Go to quickmail.io, check out for yourself, and give it a spin.
Well said, Jeremy. All right, so now we reapproach the problem with today's open rates. What are you seeing?
Boom, I see 10 minutes timer. Right. So I've been thinking a lot about open rates lately, and I try to solidify all my thinking on my way back to Tokyo. And I think I came up with some sort of conclusion and some change that I'm going to make in QuickMail. I think the whole industry has been doing it wrongly for a couple of reasons, but it boils down to you have two ways why you would want open rates. The first one is to track activities, like, oh, that person just opened their email, and I want to see that they opened their email. And the second one is about deliverability, which means did the email I sent actually reach the inbox, right? And so we use the open tracking or the open rates as a proxy for that for a very long time. And lately, that's become like super important. Everyone's talking about deliverability, not about activities. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the open rate tells us two things.
Right.
Is
Or
that
could
right?
be used for
Okay.
two things, right?
Okay. So I want to make sure I'm getting like the problem yet.
Go for it.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you an
So
example that will make it super.
okay, let's start here. Let's start with the example. Save me, Jeremy.
All right. So let's say you're reaching out to 3 prospects, okay? And every of those prospects, you're going to start sending an email for them. You send the first prospect an email on Saturday, another prospect an email on Sunday, and the third prospect an email on Monday.
Okay.
Right? The first 2 open it on Monday. The third one hasn't opened it yet. Let's say we're Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So until now, every software will show you an activity on a Monday.
Of 66% open rate.
Exactly.
Right.
The reality is 100% of the email I send on Saturday are being opened and retrieved. 100% of emails I send on Sunday are being opened and retrieved. 0% deliverability on Monday, right? And so you can now pinpoint when exactly your email has been, the deliverability tanked. If you
Wow.
don't, you see, hey, Monday 66%, I'm still doing great. And then,
Wow.
how somehow it's all like kind of not, but you don't really can pinpoint. And I think the real problem is attribution of the open rate. Like if you attribute to not the time you receive, but the time you send, suddenly gives a clearer deliverability picture, not
Oh
activity,
my gosh.
deliverability. Does that make sense?
Okay. It makes so much sense. So I'm laughing because up until this very moment, Jack's advice for deliverability monitoring was you need to check it on a week by week basis so
Sure.
that you don't have these global stats that lie to you.
Exactly.
So imagine how clunky this recommendation is. We'll just create a separate set of your
It
campaign
does
every week.
work. It does work. The problem is
Sure.
like it lags and it's sort of like average
It's
things,
messy.
and it doesn't
Messy.
actually get the real picture. You can get it per week potentially,
But
but
now
still.
you're laying out this very straightforward way to get the clear look of your maybe not opens, but deliverability on a day by
Correct.
basis, right?
Correct. And so for
Man,
the activity, you could still have that, live feed, but when people are opening, right? And you will still have this prospect open in my sequence, but now you're going to look at each email individually in order to figure out, deliverability per se. And on top of that, what I want to do next, and it's all coming, right? That's what I'm working on Quick Mail actually
love this.
this very same week.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I want to do as well is to figure out how long before people open on general. Because my suspicion right now is that emails sent on Friday takes 2 to 3 days to open. Emails sent on Monday are open straight away, maybe, or whatever. Like, I want to sort of like get a good feeling for, how long that takes. And the last thing I would say is, like, in order for this to work, you have to basically lay it out what's your trailing time. In order, like, your open rate will have a trailing time, which means after how many days of waiting do you finalize and say, well, this is
Was
the
not
actual
open.
number. Yeah, exactly. This is how much deliverability for that day. And if you will probably like have it like in stone after 1 week, right? That's sort of
Okay.
idea.
That's fine. This is like a search
I guess,
console and Google Analytics. It takes you get data from a
yeah,
few days ago.
that's
Mm.
right. And it takes time to actually just consolidate. You could still see it live. So now you're going to see on your per campaign. So there's a lot of cool thing I'm putting in place right now. I'm like thinking of
Yeah.
stats version 2,
Yeah.
but you will see like your own current week, and then it will still be consolidating. But then the last week will already be consolidated. So you will have like a sort of like, live picture that is
Yes.
getting built on
Like a
that week.
dotted graph,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Extrapolated.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. So I'm imagining now, like, first, do you think everyone gets it? And if you're listening to this podcast, you think it's very clear why this is advantageous to look at opens this way? Have we kind of like made the case? But
Yeah, you
basically,
obviously know everything, so it's easier for you.
yeah, that's what I'm
But
wondering. Is like,
mhm.
could it be that most people don't have the true numbers behind their deliverability right now?
Oh,
They're
100%. I
looking at
don't think
last month's.
any software is assigning the open to the time it was sent, right? Every software is assigning to the time it's received
Of,
for the open,
oh
which
my
is
God.
totally wrong. But
And so imagine, I mean, and I'm going to think about some of the cold email consults that I've been on recently, and it's like, all right, what's going wrong, Jack? That's question one. That's why we're here. Well, imagine if your global open rate is 41%. I say, how's your deliverability? You go, it's good. It's 41%. How long's the campaign been running? 6 months. It could very well be, Jeremy, like if I'm not mistaken, it could be that they've just hit deliverability hell and their open rate for this week is
plummet, yeah.
2%, 3%. And so they're paying to do a consult with me when really, if this stat was available to them, they'd say, oh, deliverability has gone way down very recently. Now we know the problem.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
the so what, right?
Yeah, 100%. And also you'd like to know it
Wow.
per inbox as well, not per campaign, because, we obviously got inbox rotation.
Okay. So why do you think it's taken this long, Jeremy? Like I can't imagine someone listens to this and says no. Right? Like,
Yeah, I guess we'll have some. I think once I will be putting this in place, we'll have a lot of support questions and like, hey, why is my open rate is 0 today? I received like 3 emails. We're going to have that. That's for sure. So we're
Point.
going to have to educate the market once again, obviously, with everything we do, we have to educate the market. But I think it will be easier to sort of like explain. And as long as we don't drop the open rate for activity as well, which we will still like show, I think that's still okay. If you have both, right? It's like today, those people open your emails, that's fine. But your open rate is, based on, when the email's been sent. And then I think we'll get away with that by, having both. Best of both worlds, I would say. But I think it took so long because everyone is just so focused on open tracking is a measure for activity, but everyone who really used open tracking used it for deliverability. So it's kind of like stupid, right? In a sense. I don't know why it took so long, honestly. I think people just need, we didn't really think deep enough on this.
Will you need to come up with a new word for this metric?
Well, I'm just thinking of just not calling it open tracking, but deliverability measure or something like that. Right. And then we'll explain what this deliverability, measure score is about, or how we actually calculating. And I think that will be good enough. I think most people don't necessarily need to, or don't want to know all the ins and outs of the technology, involved. But
they just want to be, for me, this is
just
like
want to know, is that delivering?
Correct. Especially when you got 10 inboxes, good luck trying to do, the figuring on that without this number. So,
and we've been using AutoWarmer for a while, and it still works, right? You could still use Mailflow, for free. And by the way, this is probably another cast, but I think it's stupid nowadays. I think it's stupid to have both into one tool, because if your outreach rely on that tool and suddenly that tool gets banned for whatever reason because it's doing also, AutoWarmer, then you're gonna lose everything. But anyway, this is a different topic. So anyway, or split is actually a blessing in disguise. But anyway. I don't really know what I wanted to say, and it's the end of the timer.
We're going to have to wait for follow-up updates when it's live. Well, keep tuning into the podcast. Go to Quick Mail, sign up for the newsletter if you want to be first to know on this. And in the meantime, if you made it this far in the cast and you want to hear more of what Jeremy and I have to say on cold email copywriting, the mindset behind winning campaigns, how I do my own prospect research when I don't work at the companies that I'm doing these campaigns for, and more, head over to course.quickmail.io. And it's the masterclass Jeremy and I made to give you or your team member the skills of a cold email agency. And you can just off you go, basically compete with the top 1% cold emailers without having to pay the hefty monthly fees to do that. So course.quickmail, that was where you can check that out. And Jeremy, I think I speak for a lot of cold emailers. We've been waiting for this a long time, even though we didn't know it.
Thank you. Appreciate. Well, we keep innovating. I think that's what drives me.
I love it. Well, don't stop. And thank you, Jeremy. It's awesome.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
See ya.
Bye.